So while I'm fiddling, go ahead and set up a place for yourself to lie down on comfortably that you can lie on your back. Good morning, hello. Um, that you can fully lie on your back, stretched out. And after that, things to sit on, cushions, support. If you need something for your knees to be bent, perhaps a blanket rolled up. Depending on what the weather is, the temperature in your space, do you need a blanket to cover up? What sources of support do you need? I'm looking up a poem that I have nearly memorized. Spring Blessing. I wish that Oriah Mountain Dreamer Weaver had titled this poem Anytime Blessing. Maybe I'll retitle it, but I've read it any season. It's really applicable. Let's see. Spring here in the northern hemisphere. Oops, where is it? Here it is, Spring Blessing. And so something to lie down on for the movement part and something to sit on. I've got a mark on my head. I'm very self-conscious of it. It looks like a Ash Wednesday sort of. This is pertinent to this week, as if I participated in that, which I didn't. A vase fell on my head last Sunday, and I iced it, but it's a little dark now. So my name is aLex Levin. We're here together through Sun and Moon Yoga Studios portal on YouTube. And I've got a dog nearby, a kitty nearby. I hope you've got a cozy space, something comfortable to be in as we start today. I hope my sound is clear, especially as I lie back. I'll make sure that I'm speaking loud enough, even though I've got these earbuds. Sometimes it sounds like it's not coming across too well. So when you're ready, go ahead and lie down on your back, stretch yourself out, corpse pose, arms out to the sides, legs stretched out, or bent knees if you need. You can bend your knees and lean them against each other. I'm actually just going to first read the first part of this poem at first, like the first half, and later on I'll read the second half. So Spring Blessing, anytime blessing. One day you wake up, able to name the weight you've been carrying, realizing it's not a part of your body or being, not essential in any way to journeying or joy. One day you wake up able to name the weight you've been carrying. So really, as you lie on your back, and I'm going to join you in a moment, as you lie on your back, name what you are noticing. First, notice that you're noticing it all. Notice. What is it you're noticing? You're hearing me fidget around, and I'm going to join you. And if anything is unclear, the sound or something happens, would you send me a chat? I'll be able to see it. On our backs, you might be noticing something happening in your body, many things happening in your body. Places that are a certain wound tightness, places that are soft, places that are heavy and smushed against the ground. Places and spaces that are moved by your breath. Places that are ready for action. So some of these I've been naming are sort of zooming in to a particular place, smaller place. From time to time, zoom out and take in the wholeness of your body, the wholeness of your being. The me, the I, space around, including your body, the ground underneath us. Now, of course, you are free to stay right here in stillness if you like, longer. Savor, sensing and naming as accurately as possible. This is a first step in a process I'm going to be saying a little bit more of. This noticing, observing carefully what is really true right here. It involves our perceiving, the first raw perceptions before there's even language attributed to it, and then very quickly labels are attributed. We narrate experience. Can we do that in such a way that is really freshly hot off the press right here? I sort of mentioned the difference between zooming in and zooming out. There's another, so that is sort of smaller and larger. Another continuum to check in on and as we observe is what is loud and gets our attention easily. For me, it's the heels, the lower back, the back heart area, my jaw. And to sometimes check in on the parts that are shyer, quieter. And in a sense, the most zoomed out, the most comprehensive of what we are, who we are, the boundless, the wide open boundless awareness, WOBA from a few weeks ago, wide open boundless awareness is the most quiet of all. It never demands our attention. It's the smaller things within it that demand our attention, but some of those things within are also very quiet as well. And it's worth seeing and looking to them, giving them some space, giving them attention. All right, if you're ready, bend your knees and you're free to stay still in that stretched out position. Just begin to rock the pelvis so where the tail tilts more toward the ground, creating an arch in the low back, and then roll the top of the pelvis back so the tail lifts and the lower back presses more toward the ground. And we know this action as a pelvic tilt, I often call it, and you could put your hand on the lower belly, the part below the navel is helpful for more monitoring, sensing, helpful to notice. And I often refer to this part of our anatomy as containing a golden ball within. Term I got from teachers, my teachers, Russell Dell and Linda Dellman, sleeping on my words this morning. Breathing, we're breathing. You might pair this with a breathing rhythm, but it doesn't need to be. Just do give attention to your breath occasionally. Now begin to notice what is the head participating in any way? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, maybe you weren't sure, maybe once that I said it, the head did begin to move. And go ahead and let your head move without deciding perhaps which way it'll move, but just imagine that allowing the roll of the pelvis to pull. Does it go in the same way in terms of when the tail goes toward the floor? Does the nose go down toward your feet or up? Either way is okay. Just notice which one is happening and kind of let it, even make it a little larger. You can release your hand if that's more easy, more interesting, more delicious for you. Go ahead and stop. So just sort of make mental note of which way your head was going with or opposing the action of the pelvis along that central axis. The stillness, maybe even let the legs down all the way. And now, and this is huge in this first of 4 steps of, I think I've titled this session De-escalation. I may retitle it, but it's de-escalation. The first step here is observing coupled with, how do we label? It's got two steps within it. How do we give the most accurate naming? Actually, there's an intermediate step and there's 3 steps. Sorry, I forgot. Observing and welcoming. Hello. Hi there. Nauseous feeling in my throat. Might not be that friendly. Might be, hi there. Nauseous feeling in my throat. And what is my feeling about this? This is the second step. Do I have any feeling about the feeling about the experience? Do I have any emotion, any reaction? This is very important. Giving time, welcoming, hello, welcoming. I don't really like it. I don't like, I like that nauseous feeling to go away, I want to be honest. But perhaps there can be an iterative loop here of what else is happening. Go back to the observing. There's a tightness in the deep left shoulder, almost where the arm and shoulder blade anchor into the heart, back heart. It's good to create an iterative loop between that first and second step, that first step of observing and the second step of what am I feeling here? What's my reaction to this? And bend the knees again. Notice how that feels and begin to roll the pelvis again. Perhaps the head will just stay still. That's an option you can choose. Perhaps it'll go sort of as it was before, but now consciously choose another way to move the head. So if the head was moving, let it be still perhaps, or another option is let it move in the other direction. So as the tail touches toward the ground or moves toward the ground, the nose moves up away. So this would have the sphere of the head and the sphere of the golden ball of the deep lower pelvis moving in opposite directions. That was sort of the more second nature to me, not second nature, that was the more unnatural. So all those first and second steps, well, before I go there, just enjoy the movement, let the movement be. It might not have come so easily, but let it get as smooth as possible. Smooth as possible, which might mean making the movement smaller, it might mean making it slower, or it might mean the opposite. It might mean jiggling it faster for a bit, larger. I do find that slower and smaller is super, super helpful. Sort of going into the really honing in. And then let your movement go back to what was the more second nature or your first inclination of head and pelvic alignment in their movements. Maybe it feels different now. These differences are very, very helpful to note and express, label. That's the word I'm looking for. To explain, to articulate verbally. And now come to stillness. Noticing what you feel, notice here. Those first two steps that include observing and naming the first step, and then the step of what's my feeling about this? Hope you're hearing me. I feel like I've been speaking a little bit softly. You might choose to just stay where you are. If I wasn't leading this, I would probably stay there. Or you may choose to come up to sitting. So slowly roll to your side. That's your choice. And again, you could choose to stay right where you are. Right where you are. If you come to sitting, decide how it will be comfortable for you to sit for about 10 minutes. It might be a little bit less. One day you wake up able to name the weight you've been carrying, realizing it's not a part of your body or being, not essential in any way to journeying or joy. You set it down gently, without fanfare, in the long, soft grass at the side of the road. You set it down gently, without fanfare, in the long, soft grass at the side of the road and walk on. Surprised to find yourself smiling in the warm sun for no particular reason. So whether you're still reclining or sitting and you've set up your seat, if you're sitting, your posture, let's welcome stillness. and the recognition of the wide open, boundless awareness that's here. Continuing a gentle openness to whatever it is we notice that meets us, that arrives, that flows in. Very gently, able to name the weight we're carrying or that it just passes through. We come to know that we can put it down. We've named it, welcomed it, named it. The third step of these four from this work of Marshall Rosenberg, and really this path is also part of any philosophical, spiritual path in the art of living. We come to allow and recognize what it is I need, what we need. Get very clear. So allow that. It's not like you have to go searching for it, but just allow that. Inquiry. Is there anything missing or needed in this moment that's not already here? Sometimes the answer will be no. Everything you'll sense that some of your intel may be telling you there is something needed, but then when you actually look, it might be actually nothing needed at all. But don't necessarily do a spiritual bypass as if, oh, that would be the enlightened thing. If there is a need, a bodily need, a psychological need, a tangible need, an emotional need, let it be seen, recognized, said hello to, and then come back to that wide open, boundless awareness, essence of each of us. Gently open to what is here, what we name it, what feeling might arise about it. What need is nudged, is awakened. And those steps in a meditation are not things to be actively sought out, but they're going to arrive, and just to entertain them from that wide open, boundless awareness. Let them be here, and attention may rest with them or may pull back away from them. A couple more breaths, and that fourth step I'll share with you just after we close our practice. And so if you're sitting, you might take a deeper breath, bring your palms together, bow. If you're lying down, maybe you'll roll to your side, and that will be sort of a curled up bow on your side. So Marshall Rosenberg's work was called, he called one of his books, or his 4 steps of nonviolent communication. It's a slightly unfortunate name, as maybe for a number of reasons, but one that comes to mind is that um, sometimes it's as if, and even inherent in the process, the violence needs to be recognized or parsed out or included, not necessarily condoned or acted on, but so it's tough to name this process, but observing, the first step, observing with this freshly here, what's here, as clearly as possible, and seeing how, when we observe, we very much just name right there. Are we naming it as truly as it is, as accurately? Are we articulating clearly? Secondly, we have a feeling about it, we have an emotion about it, and this is something that we either skip over. We've been taught not to have. Our emotions aren't really valid in the process of our interactions, or we have a habitual reaction, and it's not really serving us because it's not so fresh, or it's not accurate, or there's a deeper one underneath that's covered up by that initial one. So that step is important to go into. The third step of being able to identify, what do I need in this situation? What What do I need in this situation? And that's also a step that often gets jumped over, as there's a observation and a quick assessment, and it goes right to an unskillful fourth. What's the fourth step here of usually a demand? I need this, or give me this, or you need to do this in order for me to feel better. But when we have observation and clear expression, what's my emotion? What's my need? And from that, we can express our request, which is so important, as a demand corners the other party, but a request is not an assault on freedom, not a demand on freedom of the other person, the other party. And so we formulate our request. So this is sort of an introduction to this. I might have mentioned it in other times I've met here. Our half hour is concluded together, and I hope there's plenty for you to chew on. And just the way we move together, we can bring that movement, that looking for what's smoother, what serves us here, what's truly here, how the pieces interact in a whole way. And in the sitting and the opening to wide open, boundless awareness in a grounded and safe way. May it serve us to move more and more toward harmonious interactions. Nourishing, harmonious interactions. Thanks for being here. Thanks for even if you've just been here once or for a little bit, joining in our Sun and Moon Yoga Studio community. Ciao, ciao. Tune in Wednesdays with Annie here on YouTube and Sundays with me, or later.